Buddhism is not based on causality, the law of causation, as in theistic religions, but in the law of relativity, which has a universal application. In theistic religion, every phenomenon in this universe, in this world, is caused by a mighty being identified as a creator God. God creates everything, and the God is the cause of everything in this universe. That is in theistic religions. In Buddhism, there is a law of relativity. Every event, everything, every phenomenon is related to something else. But there is not a single cause for any particular phenomenon. Things happen under certain conditions. In English, it says, we are victim of circumstances. Under certain conditions, one may become angry. Under certain other conditions, one may become very happy. But the conditions are not caused by one condition. In fact, Buddhism refers to a law of causation which has no beginning. That's why Buddha said in one of the discourse, Anamataggo ayam bhikkave sansaro pubbha koti napanyayati. That means even the Buddha himself could not see the first cause of this existence. The first cause of all these universal phenomena. So many causes are related to any event in the universe. Therefore, in the Visuddhimagga, Reverend Buddhaghosa says, Kammasya karako natti vipakasya cha vedako suddha dhamma pavatanti hetu sambhara sambhava. Kammasya karako natti. There is nobody doing anything. There is no doer. But there are activities. Activities under certain conditions. All activities are related to certain conditions. It may be animate or inanimate. The rain comes down. There is an activity, inanimate activity. But there is certain causes related, certain conditions for the rain. When the water vapor rises high up, they get cooled down and turned back into water. And the water falls down because of gravity. If there is no gravity, the water in the sky will not fall down. If there were no wind to bring the clouds, then there can't be rain. There are several causes even when there is rain. Clouds can be formed without the sea or water getting evaporated. Even if there were water in the earth, in the oceans, in the rivers and lakes, they cannot get evaporated without the sun. Even if there were to be a sun, unless there is the dawning of the sun rising up, without that, no water vapor can get formed. And this is an example to show any phenomenon. I am referring to water coming down in a rain, but it is related to so many causes, so many reasons under certain conditions. In certain lands there are no rains falling down as in deserts. In certain lands there are too much of rain, like in tropical forest or Amazon forest, equatorial forest, lot of rain. That is under certain conditions. Certain areas are hot under certain conditions and certain areas are very cold under certain conditions. There is no one cause. The statement of Real Buddha Ghost I referred to, it says, Kammassa karako nati. There is no duo of any activity. And also, there is nobody who undergoes the effect of that activity. Vipakasta cha vedako. Because Buddhism referred to a soullessness, selflessness. There is no permanent identity of anything or any being that can be called its or his or herself. Things are in a flux, changing from moment to moment. That is why Buddha says that nobody is ultimately responsible for one's own activity because those activities are due to number of causes as the Buddha, Reverend Buddha Ghosa has revealed. When we are victims of circumstances, when you realize that truth, when you realize that fact, then we feel sympathetic towards all beings. If somebody is cruel, if somebody is selfish, if somebody is hard-hearted, if somebody is a murderer, terrorist, a robber, a thief, we can't blame him alone. There are so many conditions that brought in the terrorism. For example, there is a lot of terrorism in this world due to several causes. Under certain conditions, one can become a terrorist. Under certain other conditions, one can become a saint. That all depends on the environment where one is brought up, for example. There is a story in the Buddhist literature. Two parrots fell down from a nest when they were very young. One parrot was taken by a hermit, a saint hermit, and was brought up by the hermit. Another parrot was found by certain robbers living in the forest, and they were brought up by the terrorist robbers. And the story says the parrot who were brought up by the thieves, terrorists, they become very, very cruel. He became very, very cruel, that parrot. The other brother brought up by the saint become very saintly-like, very generous, very kind-hearted, very helpful, with no ill will. Now we all become victims of circumstances, so that we cannot blame ourselves for what we are at the particular moment. But that doesn't mean we have no responsibility for what we are. We have a responsibility. Even we go wrong under certain conditions, we have the intrinsic inborn wisdom to control ourselves, and if we don't use that wisdom, we are responsible for the result. We are victims of circumstances. That is a fact. But every being is given some type of intelligence, some kind of wisdom to take his or her own decision with regard to the circumstances. For example, Buddha lived like a beggar, begging for his alms. He has no property of wealth of his own, except the clothes and the begging bowl he was offered to by some others. He was not earning a single penny. He led a life of a beggar. But under that condition of poverty, he lived like a king. He lived like an emperor. He lived like the king of kings. That is due to his attitude, that is due to his own mentality. That is why John Milton says the mind its own place can make a hell of heaven and heaven of hell. Even if our circumstances are similar to that of hell, we can be serene within that, we can be sublime within that hell. Even if we are to be in a heaven, if our mind is not sublime with the effect, if the mind is not happy, we can live in heaven as if we are living in a hell. And one can live in a hell as if one is living in a heaven. That is why Buddha, who was living like a beggar, lived like a king of kings. He was not affected by the conditions. Once it was reported in the Tripitaka, when he went down his arm round, he got nothing in his begging bowl to feed himself that day. Then it was said, the bad fellow called Mara, the Buddhist saint, the Buddhist evil person, not saint, Buddhist Satan, told the Buddha, now we are going to be hungry today. You have no food. Then Buddha said, Piti bakka bhavisama deva abhasarayata. Preeti, delight, happiness is my own food. I am fed, I am maintained by my own happiness. Happiness, in a worldly sense, are conditional, but the real happiness that the Buddha refers to is not conditional. The ultimate bliss that the Buddhists can achieve is called nirvana, the supreme bliss. It is an unconditional state of mind. That is why nirvana is called asankata dhamma, not related to any cause. That is why it is said in the Tatya Nibbana Sutta, the supreme bliss of nirvana is not born under certain conditions, not related to any condition. Is not manifested, abhutam. Not born means ajatam. Not manifested means abhutam, under certain conditions. It is not done by under certain conditions. Then asankatam, it is not composed under certain conditions. It is the original state of mind. The original state of mind, our mind, is unconditional. It is not caused by anything. There is no causation for nirvana. Whatever things that are caused by certain condition are born to decay and die, because no condition can last forever. Even we were born under certain conditions, we were babies under certain conditions, we were small children under certain conditions, we were adolescents under certain conditions, we were youth under certain conditions, we were adults under certain conditions, and so on. That development is not done by us, not caused by us. It is a natural phenomenon. Things happen naturally. Similarly, nirvana is not a happening, not a birth, not a transformation. Everything worldly, everything materially has a beginning under certain conditions, has a decay under certain conditions, and has a destruction, death under certain conditions. That means things are born to decay and die. Once this is realized, one does not get attached to the conditional phenomenon in the mind, in the body, or in the environment. Because he realizes every phenomenon is born to decay and die, get manifested to disappear. Nothing has a permanent identity, permanent state. But he realized through deep meditation called insight, if things are changing, there must be a background under which things change. For example, if the wall is not moving, the vehicle running along the wall seems to be moving. The movement is recognized in relation to something stable, not non-moving. That is the law of relativity. Similarly, everything is in this world is getting transformed, getting changed. Everything is born to decay and die. And Buddha realized there must be something that is not born, that is not conditional, that is not decaying, that is not dying. To investigate into this ultimate truth, he took a great effort for nearly 7 years called Duskha Kriya. Even through self-mortification, giving a lot of pain to body and the mind, he tried to find out, is there any salvation from our suffering? Then he realized the Four Noble Truths with regard to suffering. He realized there is suffering. But he realized suffering is nothing but our thinking. Thinking happens under certain conditions. We think according to certain conditions. Thinking is conditional. That's why Buddha said in his first sermon, Sankittena pancha upadana kamdavi dukkha. The thinking process is the real suffering that we undergo. Then why we think? He said there must be a cause for thinking. Immediate cause is not the law of causation. Under certain conditions we think. One cause is the desire for pleasure. Another cause is the desire to avoid pain. And other cause is the illusions that we suffer from. But the illusion, we don't experience or detect the real nature of anything that we come across. For example, a young boy may see a young girl, beautiful, A young girl may see a boy who is handsome, and he or she thinks, if I marry this particular person, I can lead a happy life. Forgetting that person is born to decay and die. That beauty or the handsomeness of that particular person is ephemeral, dynamic, impermanent. The excitement one may have at a particular moment with regard to a person cannot last long. That is why many marriages end in divorces. You get attraction, and attraction means repulsion. There cannot be any attraction without repulsion. Attraction is moving towards something. Moving towards something means moving away from something else. That is the law of relativity. Attraction is related to repulsion. Repulsion is related to attraction. We repel certain things because we have in our imagination, in our memory, things that are attractive. We like certain things, and when we like certain things, we dislike things that are not in the way the things are that we like. This law of relativity gets manifested every moment, everywhere in this particular world. And we become victims of conditions that get changed, that get transformed from moment to moment. As I mentioned earlier, under certain conditions, we are happy, pleasant, and content. Under certain other conditions, we are unhappy, miserable, and desiring for some kind of relief from the pain that we undergo. No pain, no pleasure can last long. As I mentioned earlier, every worldly phenomenon gets manifested for decay and death. But on the other hand, Buddha referred to a state of mind which is not born, which is not decaying, which is not dying. And that state called ajaramara. Ajaramara nirvana. The state of nirvana is not decaying, it's not dying. Why? You are not changing yourself mentally in accordance with the conditions that you face, in which you are. The enlightened ones have the stable state of bliss that can never be disturbed, distorted, changed by worldly vicissitudes, worldly changes, worldly conditions. In the Mahamangala Sutra, therefore, the Buddha says, with regard to the enlightened ones, Puttasya loka dhamme chittang asana kampati. When they come across certain circumstances, their mind does not get disturbed. And that mind is stable in its bliss. And it is said in the Ratana Sutra, Yatinda kilo patavin sitosya. Like a strong pillar that is not moved by winds and storms coming from all the four directions. In the same way, that means that bliss of mind is stable because that is the original bliss of mind. As mentioned earlier, according to Tatya Nibbana Sutta, it is not born, ajatam, therefore it is not decaying and dying. It is not an event, therefore it is not going to vanish. It is a permanent, original state of our mind that is unconditional and that is not subject to the law of relativity. The supreme bliss of nirvana is beyond the law of relativity and also beyond the law of causation. It is not a product of the God, a creation of the God. Nirvana is not created by God. It is uncreated, unconditional, unrelated. That is the original bliss in all of us that lie hidden by the conditional state of our mind.